Hi, Mara. Good morning from me. Good evening your time.
Good evening. Actually, dark already, I think. Yeah, very dark.
What time does it get dark for you over there now?
Too soon now. Unfortunately, it depends. If it's raining, it gets dark at like 4 p.m. now, which is not
Ooh,
nice
yeah.
at all.
That's not far removed from Seattle. It's the double-edged sword. You get really long summers. It's
Yeah,
like what would it be 21 to 22 hundred right around there is when it gets dark. But yeah, in right now like
that's all
about
you get for summer?
uh sorry 22:30 I think is actually our latest sunset.
Oh, okay, okay. That
Yeah,
sounds that
22.
sounds better.
Yep. I always have to remember the conversion in my head. It's the afternoon hour plus two to basically do the conversion to European time. But
Yeah,
and then it would be six 16:20 I think is our winter solstice sunset.
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty early in the day.
I'm all confused. I would never be able to like do all that math in my head.
Yeah,
Believe it or not,
four
I'm
four
not
four
very good
thirty
with data.
for US people, but yeah. It's not easy when you get that, especially daylight savings that like happened a couple weeks ago. Like God, that one morning you wake up and you just immediately have an hour less of sunlight. Like
Yeah,
that's rough on the body.
yeah, yeah. And here we are talking about the weather as a proper like British person, and that none of us are.
Exactly. No, I mean half the fun is honestly, it's a little bit of chat in before we get into the actual demos and everything
Yeah,
else. But considering that actually is this is your first time on the channel, I'm happy to get you on because we will be talking about report design and aesthetics and everything, and that's something that I certainly love. I think less people do versus like modeling and other things, but it's something that I think is a lot of fun because it mixes a bit of art and science to a degree in terms of best practices and personal preferences for a lot of the things that go into making things aesthetically pleasing. So I'm curious to see what you'll be going over today. But I think a good start with a lot of these streams is I'd love give you a chance to give yourself an introduction, talk about who
yeah.
you are and what you do, and introduce yourself to the channel.
Okay, okay. So should I start now?
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know me and are watching, my name is Mara. Pretty obvious, the name is there, right there. So I actually have the introduction in my slides because I have like a 6 or 7 slides. Can I go to the slides and do the introduction and then I do everything like after that, the demo?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
say the question one more time.
Yeah, can I? I have all my introduction in my
Oh,
slides, so it would be good
yes.
if I just
Yes,
share the slides.
let me do that. I was
Yeah.
answering a question. There we go. Perfect. We are now
Okay.
over
Okay.
on your screen.
Okay. Okay. Let's present. Okay. Okay. That's better. So let me jump to the introduction again. Okay. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm going to repeat myself a little bit now. My name is Mara, and I have a YouTube channel too, if you don't know. It's called Data Pairs. I usually post stuff about Power BI, data visualization, and tech, and all of that. And if you also want to follow me on Twitter, I also post all my blogs and YouTube videos on there, and also on LinkedIn if you're interested in that. But that's not your question. You asked me something else. So a little bit about myself. So before I jumped into this kind of solopreneur journey that I'm in now with Data Pairs, which started as a blog. I was working as a cloud solutions architect at Microsoft, but 6 months ago, I quit my job and decided to just do my own thing inside the Power BI world. And here I am today. And also, of course, I'm not just always building Power BI reports, even though a lot of the times I am building Power BI reports. Um, about me when I'm not doing that. I love to travel. Travel is kind of my thing, and it's one of the best things that I like to do every time I have some weekend or something like that. Not this far away, probably, but yeah, I really love to travel, and I go to the most probably random places very far away, like meditating in Nepal or climbing a volcano in Indonesia. That's probably the places that you would find me if I'm not in front of my laptop and I have some extra free time. But Okay, I just want to talk a little bit about today's agenda. Can we start like with the agenda? Is it
Hmm.
okay? Yes? Okay,
Anywhere
okay.
you want to take it, I'm happy to let you steer the ship.
Okay. Because I kind of have everything prepared in my head. It's not that many
Yeah.
slides. I promise. It's like six. So I will jump into the demo like straight away. But I just want to give kind of an overview of what I'm doing today. I think it will help people watching a little bit. So I'm going to be talking like about report design. Pretty obvious from the title of the session, right? And first, I want to share with you kind of report design ideas because probably, and you were talking about this in the beginning actually. A lot of people that develop reports in Power BI, they don't pay too much attention to the design. And I noticed that, of course, I've been doing this for like 6 or 7 years now, so I noticed that already. And when I started like just focusing on my blog and the YouTube channel and all of that, I decided to do kind of a my market study in a way. Like I started asking people like, why don't you like design? Basically, of reports. And the answers were not very surprising, and they were all kind of the same, around the same like kind of answer. And there were like two main things that I noticed. A lot of people were telling me like, but before that, I want to ask you, what do you think people complain about when I ask them like, why don't you build your reports like in a nicer like design? What do you think about that? What kind of answers I got?
It's it's an interesting question to pose to someone.
Yeah.
Depending on how personally they take the question. One, like I think the initial response just might be like, "Wait, you don't think my report looks good?" Could probably be an initial reaction, like, "Excuse me." Otherwise, the I think a lot of it just comes down to probably like give me all the time and the and resources in the world. Sure, I can make something prettier. I don't have enough time to do that, and I think that's what gets skipped more
Okay.
often than not. People, I find, and to a degree, the right number is more important than the how much extra effort went into the banner or something else. But
Yeah.
they both lead to a polished report. But the first
Yeah.
thing that you want is correct information, then the
Yeah.
report. I think a lot of people, by the time they get the correct information and the model,
They stop.
they're like, I'm done. I'm burned out. It took so much
Yeah.
effort to do this. I didn't budget appropriately. I only budgeted 10% of the project time into like making the report pretty. We're out of time. Let's just throw spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks, and get this delivered. So I think that it just often gets neglected at the very end, or they don't know the art of possible of what exactly can be implemented. So they try to a degree, but it's a bit of a hack together environment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of one of the answers I got. It was something around, I don't have time for that.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, I'm going to say, like, to talk about the answer, making it like one big answer instead of like two or three separate. It's like, I don't have time for that. I'm not even a creative person. I'm like a tech guy or a tech girl. I don't even care about design or anything like that. And I don't have that in me. A lot of people say that. And they also say that they don't know the art of the possible, like you said. And because of that, they said like, I don't know what good looks like. I don't know where to get ideas from. I was like, all of this was like, first, it's not that hard if you're smart enough with the way you build your reports. And the art of the possible, I have to admit that like all these little formatting options and little things that you can do, maybe it requires a little bit of experience, like building a lot of reports. And then you start memorizing, like I can do this and that and that and format this way and that way. And it makes it easier. But still, I find like I want to help these people because it's not that hard. So that's what I'm trying to do today. So I'm going to talk about where I get my ideas from because it was one of the topics that everyone talked about. Like, I'm not creative, I don't have time for that, it takes too long, and I don't even know what good looks like because I'm not creative. So that's the first one that I want to kind of tick. Like, no, from now on, you don't have any excuses anymore.
Hmm.
Then
Perfect.
we are going to talk about the color scheme, which is kind of related with report design ideas that I'm going to show. And then how do I build like the layouts and the backgrounds for the reports, which is basically what's going to give them that like sleek design. And then I'm going to bring everything together in Power BI, because the tool that I'm going to be using for the layouts, it is a bit different from usual. So I'm going to use Figma, and I'm going to do very simple things, don't worry. But let's jump into that because it will be easier. So this is what we are going to do. This is the chart, but not the chart. The report on the left is like a report with no design, like it's like literally drag and drop stuff to the canvas, and this is what you get, right? This is what you see a lot. Probably not this simple, maybe some borders that don't help, or maybe some different colors. But what we are going to build is this one. And I'm going to try to do this in 1 hour to prove everyone wrong that this is not that hard. So we are starting, this is like our base point, the report on the left, and then we are going to have this in the end, hopefully, because we have 1 hour. I'm going probably to skip some of the repeated steps, but I hope you get the point. So now, report design ideas. So let me just go to my Power BI report. And I just want to show you, like, this is the original report, by the way. And let me see if I can see the final. This is the final one. So you can see it's not a screenshot, just a screenshot. It is really here. So this is the final report that we are going to build from here to there, which, I mean, I think it looks a lot nicer. And it doesn't just look a lot nicer. I think it's easier to read in a way. And I added a few extra things for context, like KPIs, like percentages over targets, and things like that, that I think help users like understanding what's happening in this report. Like the numbers that I'm looking at, are they good? Are they bad? So this way you have a better idea about that. But before that, so this is our base report, right? I started here. This is where I start all the time, the same as you. So this is where I start. And the first thing that I will try to do is, okay, I need to come up with something that might not look like this, but it looks better somehow. And the way I do that, I go to, let me share you my tricks, something called Adobe Stock. I don't go to the Power BI Data Stories gallery, no, because I went there like, I don't know, until like a few months back, and then I completely ignored the Data Stories gallery because I think this one has a lot more examples and better designs. So if I just do a quick search by dashboard, this will show me like loads of different dashboards. And of course, there are a few things that you can't really achieve in Power BI. Like if I open this one, of course, you probably can't do anything like this. Maybe with custom visuals, I don't know. But the idea here is not for you to replicate exactly what you have here. It's for you to get ideas on like the layouts and designs and color schemes and how information is presented and all of that. And this is where I get ideas from. And again, it's just like an inspiration kind of thing for me, because you don't have to be creative. You need to go or do the right Google search and then get your creativity from others. So this is where I go first. This is definitely like my first page that I go whenever I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to build this report. Let me search some examples and get inspiration from there. So this is one of them, and it helped me like so much, because now I don't have to like think about designs in my head. I just go here, take one, and it's like, okay, I will build something similar to this. That's it. This is like, again, for me, it was gold when I found out about this website. I don't know why it took me so long, to be honest. There is another one that I use that is called FreePick. So why did I search FreePick? That's not what I wanted to do. This is what
I like the business. I will say though that the business eagle is quite entertaining. That's down below. The third picture over, yeah. Just the business eagle is quite an entertaining photo. The one in the middle.
Oh, oh, okay. But this is not what I wanted to do. This is what happens when you're talking and writing at the same time. So, no, let me dashboard. Okay. So I do the same thing. I go I do a quick search dashboard, and then I get stuff like this, which looks pretty nice, a lot better than the if you leave it as it is, like as we had like in our original Power BI reports, it looks a lot better, right? And this one is pretty simple. It's just like some boxes and some backgrounds, and that's it. And there is, sorry, a lot of things that you should consider that I'm not going to talk about today, like the spacing between the visuals and the colors that you use. Like, don't use red if you don't want to emphasize something because people associate red with bad, and all of that. I just want to give you like more like an insight on how to get inspiration, because I was looking for this online, and that is not a lot of people talking about this. And again, it's one of the main problems that people pinpointed, like, I don't know where to get inspiration from, and I don't know what good looks like. So just come to one of these websites, and if you don't know what good looks like, this is what good looks like.
Oh, I've
So
I've done that a couple of times, even with honestly, like if I've had certain scenarios where, like as an example, if I'm doing a project that is dealing with public data and age groups, I'll
yeah,
like data chart data by age group. I'll actually Google something that's an approximation of the type of data I'm
yeah,
looking at. I'll see how that has been visualized in infographics before. So I do a similar thing. Sometimes if I'm exploring a new type of data set, especially that actually deals with any kind of demographics or real world data, I basically Google or check stock sites. So I think it's a great inspiration. I also just want
yeah.
to point out the fact that there's something that almost every single one of these dashboards has that is not available in a native visual in Power BI, and that's the spline line, that nice like spark line that you see, the curved, smooth line.
The curve.
Yeah, and
Don't
then
talk
it's
to me about curves.
well, exactly, and like it's a spline line. It's
Yeah,
and I
like a curved
really,
line instead of like
yes,
having
I
the rough
really,
edges.
really
You have the
wish
curve.
native visuals supported that.
Yes,
We do
yes,
have custom
yes,
visuals, but
yeah. Not the same
as
thing.
yeah, as one quick just 15-second plug, I don't know if you saw on LinkedIn, Miguel Myers just announced his new
Yeah,
position at Microsoft.
yeah, 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 yeah. I
He
saw
has a
that.
new
Yeah,
position as the head of visualization. It was discussed and he's talked about it, but it's officially happening. So things like you see in front of us
oh
here,
god.
I'm really excited for how these things hopefully might change in the next 12 to
Yeah,
24 months and get closer to native visuals doing cooler stuff like this in Power BI
yeah,
without a bunch of layering and hacks.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I was complaining about this with Adam and Patrick, and they're saying like one of the things that really annoys me is everything is so like edgy. Like, rough edges everywhere, like all the charts, like the bars, the line
Yep.
charts, everything. Like, I don't like corners.
The thing that I actually do is I prefer the stepped over the angled lines sometimes, because it shows the category sections a little bit more, so you can see where the lines match up with the columns a bit easier. But I don't particularly like that or the angled lines. But on a smaller axis, at least the step doesn't, to me, it doesn't look as bad as the just really hard edgy lines. And there's no
Yeah,
way to smooth them. So most of the time, I just go to a custom visual. If
yeah,
I want, I
yeah.
use Deneb or something else to make a prettier line.
I've heard a lot about that. The
Yeah,
NEP, yeah.
it
But
the best
yeah,
visual maker.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have to try it out. I didn't try it out yet. I know, weird. I only talked about
Um,
design and
and
beautiful
we
charts
will.
and reports,
I'll
and
as
I
my
didn't
last
try it.
thing. Just I was as last thing, just so we don't get too off topic.
Yeah,
If you have to pick between Charticulator and Deneb, Microsoft hasn't retired Charticulator. It's
but it will
just not going to
probably.
be getting really any
Yeah,
updates. So Deneb is the only thing that's actively being made. Daniel probably puts, I like no joke, like 10 to 15 hours a week into it to update it and keep it going. So it is a continuously evolving and maintained tool. So it's safe to use, and it will be safe to use
yeah,
until Microsoft provides better native visualizations. So that's the
yeah.
final piece I'll say on that.
I definitely have to try that. I've seen a very cool charts like already on LinkedIn and Twitter,
Mhm.
so I definitely have to try that. But the last one that I wanted to show, like to get inspiration, by the way, is Pinterest, which is weird, right? But it's the exact same thing. I just go here, like I'm on Instagram, literally, and I just go and check what other people have done. Like very nice visualizations. And again, doesn't mean that you can replicate all of this, like you said. Now you don't have like smooth edges in Power BI, but you get the idea of like the color scheme and like the design. So you can still get really good ideas from here. And there are loads of people posting reports, like loads of them. So you can really like come here, and if you like not sure about a layout, how to get inspiration for your layout and for your design, go to one of these three, especially Pinterest and Adobe Stock, definitely. But okay, this is where I get my inspiration from, and I'm going to show you one of the reports, dashboards, they call it dashboard there, that they had in Adobe Stock, which was this one. And this is the one that I use to basically build my report in Power BI. I looked at this and I was like, this is cool. I'm going to build something that it looks very similar to this. And as you saw before, if I show you the final, no, I will leave the final like to the end so you can compare. Not now. I'm not going to spoil to do a spoiler, to do any spoilers. So let me go back to Power BI. So I know now that I want to build something that looks kind of like this in a way. Again, if you have like if you're working for a customer, like about the colors, they might have their branding and their color scheme and all of that. So you might not be able to use the colors, but still the design is there, like the idea is there. So you can always change the colors. I don't even like the red, but I'm going to replicate kind of the exact same thing. So I'm using the red, but I don't like it. But if you have like any other branding that you have to use, I mean, it's still a pretty good design, and I'm pretty sure you can mix and match the colors from like different colors, and it still looks good. So, but in this case, again, I'm going to replicate exactly the same thing. So if I go back to Power BI, now that I know what I want to build, something that looks like this, I was a bit lazy because we have like 3 KPIs, 1 bar chart, 1 table, and all of that. And I did the same thing. So I could replicate the exact same thing. But of course, again, you can be creative if you have different charts, more charts. It's just, again, an idea about the design. You can always add and remove elements if you have to. If you kind of follow the design that you saw on Adobe Stock, it will always look nice, at least nicer than what you have right now. So the first thing that I did was having that layout. I decided this is like everything looks that is like to the right, right? And you have like a huge white space here, blank space. That's because what I do next is basically build a very rough layout of how things will look like in Power BI based on that design. And I know that design has like this little thing here, which is the navigation pane. And this is the report area. And this is like a shape, literally just a shape. I just added random shapes here just to have an idea of how it will look like in the end, and the space that I need for like the navigation and the reports, like the area and all of that. That's the only reason I do this. It's just to have an idea if everything will fit, basically. And this is the first thing that I do. Then I need to start building my layouts, and for that I use Figma. But before that, let's talk about colors. So I have my example here, which I want to copy in a way or do something very similar. So one of the things that I do, this is again especially useful if you're just building a random report. If you have a branding, then you will have the colors already predefined for you. But if you don't, then this is pretty cool, which is I use this really stupid thing, simple and stupid thing, but works so well. Just an eyedropper. It's literally an add-on, but you can basically get the colors that you have like in the image. Pretty sure there are probably better ways to do this, faster ways like that, get all the colors from the image. But
there is also a built-in tool made by Microsoft called Power Toys, which has about
really?
30 like pro Windows features. Like it has everything from like bulk file renaming to mouse controls that shows highlights, but it also has a color picker. So you could assign it to a hotkey, and your mouse can touch any pixel on your entire screen, and it immediately shows you that color. But then it opens up a window to show you shades lighter, shades darker, things related to it. I'll drop the link in the chat for people curious, but it's a free plugin for Windows made by Microsoft that has a bunch of Windows power tools, and that's one of them. And it's very similar to what you have, but it's just built into your Windows desktop, and it's super useful.
Okay, I have this one. When I did my research, there are a bunch of like different plugins you can add to Chrome or Edge or whatever browser you use. And yeah, for me, this was like, that's perfect. It works. So this is basically whenever I'm building like a random report, not something for a customer, then I might have like some specific colors that I have to use, like a random report. Like today, I just go here and literally just steal all the colors like this. And this, of course, generates like the Xcode that you can use then and put it as your theme in Power BI. So it makes everything a lot easier. So this is how I get all the colors from here. Just go here with the eyedropper and get all the colors from this report, copy the Xcode and kind of build a color palette like that. Once I have that color palette, I go back to Power BI, I go to view, and of course you can change the theme and all of that. You can import your own theme. I'm not going to talk about that. That's another very big topic, probably like the JSON file and all of that, the different options that you can do. But here you can customize the current theme. And because I'm lazy, this is usually what I do. You can select like all the colors that you want to have in your report, like the base colors, and then here you have some advanced options. The descriptions are not very good, but you can learn like what each of these descriptions will basically change if you change the color. If you click here on learn more, it has all the information, and it can change for the text, visuals, and so on. But again, if I'm feeling lazy, I will just change these ones and probably the text, like the most basic ones, because building like the actual theme, if you know there are online tools that allow you to be very specific, you will spend a lot of time doing that. But this is where I change then my colors that I got with the eyedropper from the example. And let's imagine that I have all my colors here now, just to speed up the session a little bit. Otherwise, I will be just copy pasting Xcodes. And once I have that, then I go to Figma. And you can use also PowerPoint to build the background, because I don't use, you can use shapes, but in the beginning, I started by using shapes inside Power BI. But first, they were not very flexible. And second, if you had a lot of shapes, even if they are not loading data, this will look weird. You have loads of like boxes and like squares and things like that. It will, I don't know, it will take some time sometimes to load even like the box, and it just shows a little wheel and it doesn't look good at all. If it's a background image, then you don't have that problem. So that's how I started with PowerPoints, and then I kind of went the next step and went to Figma. And with Figma, this is Figma Desktop. It's kind of a web design tool, I guess. I only use it for Power BI. So, but it allows you to build like web pages, like mockups for web pages and apps, mobile apps, and all of that. In this case, I use it for backgrounds in Power BI. So usually what I do is I take a screenshot of this, which is kind of for me to have the idea of where things are placed and how I should build the layout. And for that, you can do something as easy as just taking a screenshot. And it's very easy, like to just, take the screenshot and you put it here, just paste it. Yeah, nothing very fancy. And once I have that here, then I will start creating my layouts in Figma. Again, you can also use PowerPoint if you think Figma is too complicated. It's not. The basic things are really easy. You will see. So the first thing that I want to do is to select a frame. The frame is kind of like my report page in a way. In this case, it will be the background. So when I select a frame, you can select like the size of the frame. I select TV because it's pretty much the size of the report page in Power BI. Weird, I know, but it works. So let's just change the name here. So I have my new frame here, which now shows right there. And now I try to place everything in a way that I can see it, kind of, so that I can compare, okay, does this look like the good report, which is this one, and are the places correct of the things that I have in Power BI in this one? So I can look at both and kind of try to bring everything together in a way. But with our frame, there are some key keyboard things that I need to use to change. Okay. Okay, so in my frame, now I'm starting to build my layout. And this is as easy as selecting the frame. And for example, if you want to change the color, let me get my color scheme here. If you want to change the color of the background, you can just select the frame itself and change the color of the background. That's it. Very easy, build, nothing very fancy. And now that I have the color of the background that kind of matches this one, see, it's kind of the same. That's why I want to see it like side by side. Now I want to start building like the navigation pane and the report area, this part here. So I go here, and in my frame, with my frame selected that I created, I just add a rectangle, literally just a rectangle. That's it. Again, nothing really fancy. And for the rectangle, because I stole, in a way, all the colors from my image, I can just bring the X code here, change the color, and that's it. And now Figma is pretty smart, so you can change the radius very easily like this. So there you go. You have like a navigation pane, which kind of, and then again, I'm always looking at one and the other and then making sure that everything fits. This is my navigation pane, and now what do? Just copy paste the same shape, making sure always that everything is inside this frame. Like otherwise, when you're exporting, you will leave things out, and you don't want that. So always make sure that everything that you build in the frame is inside the frame, not outside. Like you can even expand this like that. So, but in this shape here, I'm going to change the color to this one. Okay. So this is now my report area. Probably I need more space here. Yep. Okay, so see, that's why it's so easy to have like them side by side, and it's better because you can see, will this fit? Probably yes, probably not, and it's way easier to see it like that. So now that I have kind of my reports, I can probably make this bigger so you don't see. Okay, I have my kind of area for the navigation, area for the report. I just start building the elements and adding more squares. That's literally it. Again, nothing very fancy, just copy pasting and kind of resizing everything, changing the color, which is going to be white. And then you probably don't see it very well, but it is white. And then you can add like a stroke, because this one, I'm very picky, and I can see there is a stroke there, like a border, like a gray border. And you can add like a border or the stroke here in the stroke, and just change it to like, whoops, it's gone. I will just, in this case, change it to something that looks kind of similar to what you have there, which is okay. Now I need some space for the title, so I'm going to bring this down. And then I need to make sure that I have space for my KPIs. And of course, you can also now make this so the kind of edges are not so rounded. So, okay, what do I do next? I just copy paste things. And again, probably if I had more than 1 hour, I was way more picky with the kind of the spaces between the boxes, so it matches what you have here, right? Because right now they are too small, but this is just to give you kind of a general idea of how things work. So now I'm going to select everything, and this has like this distributes the shapes basically horizontally, which makes your life a lot easier. So it aligns everything as it should be, and then you can just copy paste this again, add it here, make it slightly bigger. And in this case, for the table, I'm going to leave it empty because there is no like background. And the last thing that I need is those KPIs that I'm going to use as KPIs, not as what they show now. They are going to look a bit different. But again, this is me doing a very, very quick like design in Figma. So of course, in practice, this might take a little bit more time, and you might want to like do some math basically to make sure that everything fits and doesn't look weird. Um, okay, so imagine now we have like all the placeholders for the KPIs, for the chart, and for not the buttons, the other KPIs on the bottom. And now the next thing that I'm going to do is adding some colors here. Let's add some colors. So this one is black. Let me get the color for this one. The fill is black. This one is red, which I don't like, but we will keep it like that for now. And the other one is green, which I have here the code. So, okay, so now I compare one and the other, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you know, the square should be bigger and all of that. With more time, they would match almost perfectly what you have here. But for now, it looks very, very similar already. Mm-hmm. And there are a few icons there, as you can see. And these icons, with Figma, it has like some plugins that you can add to kind of to your page or your frame. And if you go to right click anywhere like in your frame and go to plugins and you find more plugins, you can search, for example, for icons. And you have all of these like, yeah, libraries of icons that you can use from other people. Some of them are paid, some of them are not. You need to probably pay attention to that. But a lot of them are not paid. So I usually use this pulse for icons. I think that's how it's called. And if you run that, it will give you like loads of icons that you can add to your page here. And I like the bold ones. I think it's bold or filled. Maybe it's filled. And in this case, I'm looking at the final report, so that's why I know exactly the icons that I want to use. But you could like do some research here and check for some nice icons to add to your KPIs or cards. But here in this case, I want like a coin for my sales. So something like this. So I just added like the coin like that, and it's here now. So if I make it bigger, if I try to resize it, it might be a little bit weird. So if you want to do that, you can like click on Shift or press Shift while you do that, and then it doesn't really make that weird resizing anymore. And I will put it here for my KPI, put it in the corner, something like that. So it looks kind of like that, yeah. But now I still need to change the colors and all of that. And every time you add an icon, you have like a group, and then you have a vector, which is the kind of the icon itself. And then you have the second vector, which is like the background. So for the background, imagine this one is green, and I think I still have it here. Okay, and you can add a fill to the background.
Okay.
I add the fill and then change it like so it matches a little bit the other one. Yeah, something like, yeah, more transparent. And then you go to the vector and do the same thing. And now it's green. So very, very easy once you know how to do it, which took me some time.
I will say one of my other favorite things is, I don't know if you've ever used it, is a flat icon. Is one of my favorite sites because it's they don't do anything 3D or anything else, but it's very similar to that, simplistic, thicker lines, and very clear and bold on whatever the icon is that you're kind of looking for graphics like this. And pretty much all of the icons in my slides and my reports, for the most part, come from there.
The icon file you said?
Flaticon.com.
Oh, yeah. I was going to show that after, actually.
Oh, perfect.
That's super button for in here, because I have some icons here. Sometimes I go and get, I get some icons from Flat Icon, but sometimes it's just, I will just get it from here because they are right there. And it's easier because they are like, they have these vectors, like separated background and all of that. So for this one, you can also change. So you need to select the right vector, otherwise this will be like, you will be like, what's happening? This is all wrong, all my image is gone. So always select the right vector here, either the background or the icon itself. And I want some rounded edges because the other one has rounded edges. If I go there, it has like this little rounded edges. This is what I want. So by selecting the vector here the second one, the background. I'm going here, I'm going to put like 10. So looks nicer like that. Oops, everything is moving. This is not what I want. And now I just, again, just put it in a place where it's, yeah, kind of aligns. Again, way more time if you do this properly. And you just do that for all the other KPIs. It's the exact same process. You just go here, get more icons, and just bring them in and format it like that. Just format the background, the icon itself color, and then you would have all the icons. But because we don't have all the time in the world, I'm going to get the icons from here because I have them here. This one is for some reason not doing what it should. Copy this, and then I'm going to bring them here. And this might happen, which is the layers are not correct, but you can push everything to the top, and then it's in the right layer. And now, again, just resizing, not resizing, but probably resizing too, but putting things like in the right places, resizing, and oops. And of course, you can select all of them and resize all of them at the same time, like this, which makes it a lot easier, right? And you do the same thing for the other ones. Let's go check our sample. Again, always comparing one and the other, making sure that I have all the right elements. So here looks kind of similar, again, ignoring all the spacing between the boxes with proper like sizing. And the same thing would happen here. But in that case, I added like different icons and I just added them in. I'm going to copy paste because of time. And I'm going to put them here. And then you have some icons, which was, again, pretty easy. You select them all and then just align them a little. And I don't want to take too much time doing this because it will take me forever. Not forever, but yeah, some more time, at least. So the last thing that I need is this kind of navigation pane. And again, as you can see, if I move this here, it's the exact same thing. This button, or the icon or the button, is just an icon. It's literally just going right click, plugins, get the icon, put it there, format it, that's it. The exact same process. And in the end, you would end up with something that looks like this, which is very similar to this one. So let's imagine we finish this one because again, now it's all about just adding icons and editing the icons, which is always the same process. And I showed you that before. So as you can see, it's pretty similar already. Once you add the visuals, it gets even more like similar to the example in Adobe Stock. So this is how I build my layouts for my Power BI reports. So once I have this done, now if you want to export this, you select your frame. In this case, imagine I wanted to export the one that I have here. You need to select the frame, the entire frame. And then there is this option here to export. And then you can select like SVG, export, and that's it. This will be saved in your laptop or OneDrive or whatever. And then you can just easily import this as a background image in your Power BI report, which is amazing. So I usually, by the way, I don't do buttons here. Probably realize I don't do text. I only do like literally like the placeholders for things in a way. Because buttons, I think they have a really nice interactivity, like aspect to formatting, because you can select all those hovering effects and all of that. And I like to do them in Power BI because I think it's more user-friendly, like the hovering and it changes color. It makes it easier for people to understand, oh, I can click in this button if it's sometimes it's not very obvious. So, and of course, all the numbers, charts, everything is to be done in Power BI, of course. But now let's jump into Power BI. Imagine that we exported this to our folder and now we have the SVG file. So we can go back to Power BI. And what I do now is I just delete all these placeholders. So goodbye to everyone. Okay. I delete everything. And then I just import the layout that I created. I go to the canvas background, go to my layouts, report background, nothing happens. No, I'm joking. It is here. Um, and it is here. That is like this little thing. Again, I'm very, very picky with this kind of stuff. This little white line, it doesn't fit exactly, but if you put fit, then it fits perfectly.
Yep.
So now, of course, it's a matter of aligning everything and formatting your entire reports to match now your new layout. Let me just remove the background from this. Ooh, what is it? Here. Okay. So now you have something like this. So you're missing the buttons, you're missing the formatting, and all of that. So looking at, I have a few pages that I created to make this process a lot easier for the presentation. So this is what you would have, right? Still, nothing is formatted. So if you want to format this, now, if I wanted to make the same kind of design that you have here, you can see that you have like the KPIs here, and then you have like an indicator, like a percentage for target or something like that. This is what I did, this percentage to target. So I want to kind of replicate the same kind of design or the same kind of concept. But that is a problem. And I think I posted about this at some point, like last week or 2 weeks ago. That is, the KPI card doesn't allow you to align things, and it's very annoying. So what do I do instead? I use either a text box or a multi-row card or a table.
I use buttons. I pretty much use buttons because buttons are very customizable. They can do horizontal and vertical alignment. Plus, you can also use an icon. So I've actually, like, the layering that you've done here, I've done similar with a single button, because what you do is you have the button, you turn on the borders, you turn on the rounded edges, and then you can take the icon, you can add it, you can import a custom SVG file for the icon for the button, put it in the upper right corner, put the text in the middle, so you can actually design like a single shape to look like that. So buttons, I have like multi-hour presentations on them just because there's so many different ways to use them as a visual, because of how customizable they are with shadows and glow and like all these fancy things.
Yeah, I do love buttons. I didn't use them for this scenario, but I do love them. In this case, I use like this, normal multi-row card. Sometimes I use a text box. It really depends, really. But in this case, I use this one, and then you just have to format this a bit, like remove the accent bar so it looks like just a normal card in a way. That is one thing though, it doesn't format this to like the correct, and there is no the correct, like, if you want like this in millions or something, you probably need to be a little bit more creative with the text behind the scenes, but let's ignore that for now and leave it like that. So now you can format this and add something like that, even make it smaller and this one bigger, and then you have kind of the same concept as you have in the layout that we got from Adobe Stock. It's kind of the same. And of course, align everything, make sure everything is in the right places. This doesn't have a background. Okay, perfect. So usually what I do is I do the same thing for all of the others. Again, you can use buttons, text boxes. You can even leave the KPI card if you want, but it won't be aligned. And then the trick that I did for like to replicate this bar here is using a 100% stacked bar chart. So I have a few measures here built for this already. So I have the sales, which I didn't build a measure for, but I'm going to use it anyway. And then I have sales versus target, which tells me like how far away I am from the targets. So it's this blue part here. So now again, it's a matter of getting rid of everything, literally. So you get rid of everything, like the titles, the X's, the legends, and the title here too, and all of that. And now you get a visual like this, which has nothing. It's just like a bar. And of course, you align everything, make sure everything looks great here in the report.
And one other trick that I've done with that too is I believe if you go to the format for it's either the X or the Y axis, but there's the maximum category width, which makes it fill the container better. I forget, it's either an X or Y, but basically that bar can fit more. You can reduce the height of the bar because the bar can fill up more of the frame. Somewhere. That way you don't get like the hover stuff. Yeah, but one other little like Because sometimes I want it to be like really, really compact, and I don't want it to like
Yeah,
overlap other stuff that needs to be clicked.
yeah, yeah. In this case, I didn't do any of that. I'm just going to change the color so it looks more like you're this far from the target. And of course, once you have like all your colors in your theme colors, you will be able to choose the color that actually matches the color of this KPI or like this area here, which is green. So you can put it here, and now it's green and it matches that. And for the percentage, I was lazy again. I copy pasted this first. Oops, it didn't copy paste. Okay, sometimes this happens for some reason. I copy pasted it, and I have here my silver target already, so I can just use it. And of course, format this a little bit, make everything smaller, and all of that, bold. And then you end up with something that looks very similar to what you have in our example, which was here. So, I mean, it's not necessarily the same because we don't have rounded edges, but it is still very, very similar to what we have there. It's the best we can do in Power BI. Probably, maybe there is something better you can do with custom visuals. I don't know. But then I would just replicate this, but I will do this kind of quickly in a way throughout all the other KPIs, and then I would end up with something like this. So
Just real quick, someone just wanted to see your sales versus target measure. I'm assuming that's just a standard like division calculation.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Ignore the numbers.
Just a
Ignore
simple
the
divide
numbers.
function.
Yeah. But ignore the numbers in this case because the numbers, might look weird because I didn't do any measures or any of that. This was kind of to focus on report design, so I didn't worry too much about measures for this one. But yeah, the next one that I was going to do is the bar chart, which of course you can do the same thing, just get rid of the, not the x-axis, I want it, I can make it smaller, at least, the labels at least, and I can remove the titles of the axis because they are redundant, and I can add some data labels, and I can edit those data labels if I want, change the title, edit the title, and all of that. So again, trying to be quick because time flies, and I can see it's almost 6 p.m. In the end, you would have something like this. So again, kind of similar. Yeah, we don't have smooth edges, but kind of similar to what we had in our example. The next thing I was going to do is to do the same for the table, which is basically formatting it. But again, as we are kind of running out of time, I'm going to try to be quick with this one. But basically, I just remove everything, not minimal, sorry, none. Remove the background so it goes like with the background and matches like the other layout. I'm always like switching windows. This is actually what I do in real life. I switch windows and I'm like, it looks pretty similar. Okay, done. Next. So this is usually what I do. And yeah, you format all your table, make it look a lot nicer, get rid of a few of the things like totals and all of that. And in the end, you will end up with something like this, which goes again very in line with what you have here. As you can see, it's like you don't have, again, smooth edges, but it is what it is, right? But it's the closest we can get for this example. And then, of course, you have the KPIs here below, which are basically the same as this ones. I do the exact same thing. I just put this as a multi-row card and formatted the same thing as this ones. And in the end, you ended up with something like this. And I added these little arrows here. I wanted to add a few buttons, but I'm glad I didn't because I'm running out of time. So you can add a few buttons here that can open different pages, like specific for this kind of product that you're selling. And then the last thing you do is the buttons here for the navigation. This is why I said I don't like to do texts like in the background image, because I think buttons are so cool, like I said before, that I like buttons and I like using buttons. So for the buttons, you can, of course, write any text you want. And then one of the cool things is, like you said, like the flexibility that the buttons give you in terms of like formatting and all of that. And usually what I really like to do is like to change at least this on Hoover kind of, formatting options. And I just change it to white. So, or in this case, I might change it to any other color. Oh, I forgot the borders. Let me get the borders, icons and borders. And then when you hover over it, it turns white, which I think is way more like user-friendly, and the user experience is a lot better like this than having like a text. When you hover over it, nothing happens. I think we are all used to like hovering over things, and if you're supposed to click on it, something happens. So this is why I like using buttons. And of course, I just copy pasted all of this, edit it here. For this one, I went a little bit different on the approach. Of course, I edit this as white because it kind of looks like this is one selected. It helps like with the icon, but also with the text. And then in the end, the final one would look like this. So again, this was a very, very quick demo. And I jumped like a few like steps, but I don't think those steps were really important, like making sure that the boxes have the right size. I think the main idea, the general idea, I hope I passed the general idea. And now it's the part where I show you, oops, I think it's this one. Yeah, why does it show like this? The difference between one and the other. So this was the thing that I got from Adobe Stock. This is what I got in the end. So again, it is different. It's not so rounded. It doesn't have the same color here, and it might look slightly different, but like the first time you see it, you're like, oh, they're the same. So yeah, I didn't get like all crazy, like I'm not very creative, like I might be something a little bit maybe, but a lot of my creativity comes from like internet, comes from the internet. So there are so many things, like nice things that people build that you can inspire yourself on.
Yep.
So this is one of those examples, like when you're like, oh, zero like creativity in your head, you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to do anything that looks half nice. Do something like this. It's very easy. Again, the little things might take some time, like aligning everything and making sure that everything fits, but still, I think once you get used to it, it gets so faster, so much faster. So the secret is to start. That's the secret. And with this, I was about to share the Picto. I used PictoShop before. No. I was not going to share it. You mentioned it already.
Okay, yeah. It's fine. Yeah. So I'm gonna paraphrase off of what you're saying as well too. So it's similar with an artist. An artist starts by recreating other work. Eventually, they find ways to do their own, and start having their own creative ideas. But yeah, like you don't need to create your own original masterpiece to begin with. You can take inspiration from other things, and any good artist takes inspiration from other existing work. That's just how the nature of art evolves to a degree. So I like your inspiration. Just go look for some dashboards. Find one that works for you. Find a style that you like. Figure out what you like about that, and you recreate that from there. Use that and the tools that you mentioned to then kind of build out those report pages and everything.
Yeah. And again, I use this mostly for when I'm building like this kind of random reports, because I'm like, I can't be bothered trying to come up with an idea for the design. Exactly. But of course, again, when you're talking about like real life use cases for customers, it might be a little bit different because they might be very picky themselves. So you might take, again, this is just like as an inspiration, like this is what good looks like. So look at how people organize everything, the layouts and all of that. And based on the feedback from the customer, just try to merge both things together. So yeah, probably in real use cases, I won't copy like kind of, one of the designs that I saw like on Adobe Stock. But I think like if you're just starting and you want to get creative, this is a really nice way. And you start like learning things like, how will I build this to look like that? And then you start getting your own ideas. But the thing is, you need to start somewhere. Otherwise,
Exactly.
you'll be stuck with those like very basic reports forever. So
No, I agree. Start small, work your way up. But I think there's been a lot of good takeaways from this, and
yeah.
also just seeing the creative process to building these things out has been really interesting to watch as well. So it looks like a few people are wanting to try out Figma. Good conversation. I think we had about 65 people that were.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Thank
still
you for
at 60
coming.
at the moment. So yeah, quite a lot of people tuning in today. So really great turnout. And I think it just shows people's passion for probably not only your channel that you have. Make sure to check that out in the links below and in the description, but also just the topic of report design, which I think gets a lot of people excited. So I really appreciate you for coming on and doing all this today. This has been great.
No problem. I really like doing this because again, especially after I heard a lot of people saying I'm not creative and I don't know how to build nice things. I really want to like, okay,
Yeah.
spread the word. This is an idea on how you can do that. So yeah, for me, this was a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope to have you back on sometime as well. But yeah, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to do this. Everyone, thanks for tuning in as well. For anybody who actually is attending past virtually, I will potentially be seeing you online in about an hour and a half when I present at the Past Summit as well, which I'm going to leave to right after this. But yeah, this has been a great way, I think, to finish up the week. And Mara, I hope you have a great weekend, and same with everyone else tuning in.
You too, and good luck with your presentation.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you want to help support this channel, take a look at our channel memberships or our merchandise store for cool swag. And last but not least, please consider sharing this video on your social media platform of choice to help our channel grow. So, until next time.